I imagine that wherever you are at today and whatever it is that you're up to, it probably feels like a lot, maybe. Maybe there's a lot going on. And all the more reason that I'm going to say a big thank you for just hanging out with me in this podcast here and these conversations where, we sort of say the refrain every time, but genuinely, authentically, honestly thankful that we can journey together trying to figure out what it means to be Christian on planet Earth in the midst of this soil and this air and this water and this place that God has so chosen to place us and to create us within and a part of. And so, welcome back, friends. I'm your host, Caleb Cray Haynes, and this is the ecoChristian podcast. It's Advent still right now, as of this recording, and the year 2025 is rolling out. It's rolling out. And if your life's anything like mine, it might be a little crazy. I'm always trying to figure out how to slow December down. And I don't know if it's the same experience for you, but with our lives, and it probably has to do with all those years pastoring and parenting and still trying to make money and be at the holiday events and all the things, and trying to be a blessing to your community. All that just kind of adds up, and you just sort of have to decide when and how you're pumping the brakes on all this. So the other morning, I'm dropping the kids off after school, and I pull up to the red light that's by our house, and it was one of those moments where you're in the car. And you're not the first one at the light, but you're like the second or third one back, and the guy in front of you, and the guy in front of me at this in this point in this story, he had like pulled out in front of the light a little too much, like you do, and so he was like, "Oh, I'm out here too far, so I'm just gonna back up," and which that's where I'm at, and so I'm seeing like the distance, like he's like 4 feet away. And I see him back up. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. It's like 3 feet, 2 feet. And I'm like, OMG. And I start honking my horn. And sure enough, in slow motion, because these things only ever happen in slow motion, he just backs right into me. and it just like, this is how this particular morning started. But I was like, this particular morning, I was like, I don't really, it's not really bugging me. I don't really care. It's like someone collided with my car, and I just, it's hitting different this day, because this day happened to be the 10-year anniversary to another bigger, worse accident that happened to me. And when you're in that headspace, you're already sort of reorienting. You know what today is, and you're already like putting everything else in perspective. It's just funny, because if this were like any other day, I might have just like been a total grump about it, a total Scrooge. Are you with me? But I was like, oh, this is nothing, right? But yeah. Anyway, so today, do you ever feel like life got delivered, like DoorDash right to your doorstep, and just this pizza, and it just came with too many toppings? Are you with me? Like, life got delivered, and it has more toppings than you were prepared for. Someone's like, amen. Are you with me? And you're like, I don't know if I want to eat that. Like, I don't know if I want to eat that pizza. So, 10 years ago, on December 9th, 2015, I had this, what I call my hand accident. And I write about this a little bit in my garbage theology book. This was back in my, what I call my trash hauling days, when we were doing the recycling business. And I was at the recycling center, and I had this, I was by myself. And the irony was, like, this place is usually crawling with people, but there's just no one there. And it was a Thursday afternoon. It was cold. And I had this glass tabletop, and it's like that thick glass. All right, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like half an inch thick tabletop glass. And since this day, I've realized that we must be insane. We make tables out of glass. Every time I go to the beach, because every beach house has glass tables. No idea why, but it's true. You know it's true. You've seen it. And, it's like, what are we doing? Anyway, I'm getting ahead. So I have this glass tabletop, and I'm trying to slide it off into this dumpster. And all I have to do is kind of, send it on its way. I've got about a 2-foot gap from the back of the truck to the dumpster, and I start sliding it off, and a corner of the glass just tings the dumpster. And that's all it took, and that glass just shattered in my hands. And basically what happened from there was, this might be PG-13 at this point. So it slices my right wrist kind of under my hand, and took my artery, 4 tendons, and 2 nerves. So, of course, at the time, I don't know that. And I'm just like bleeding out, and it's crazy, and there's no one around. And so I take my left hand, and I just grab my right wrist. And I'm just, because this is like protocol. This is all I know in my head. And, stop the bleeding, live. And I'm looking around. Of course, I don't have my phone. And even if I did, it would have done me no good because I have 0 operable hands. And anyway, and this one guy finally pulls around, which seemed like an eternity later. It was probably like seconds. And, and calls the paramedics, and they come and all of that. And there's just this whole dramatic thing that begins to unfold in your head. You're like, oh my gosh, is this the end? Like, is this where it happens? And all these things just start flashing through your brain, right? All of these things that you're just completely, you were just having a Thursday 5 seconds ago, and now now it's like existential. Are you with me? And maybe you've had one of those moments. Maybe you haven't. Hopefully you haven't. But it's just like it puts it in perspective. Anyway, so I had they took me to the hospital, and I just had this ridiculous nerve pain, and because it sliced these nerves, and of course the hospital's crazy busy. And I'm just wondering if I'm going to survive this. And they eventually assure me that I'm going to live. But I don't know, the conditions. The pain is just so bad. And they were giving me like morphine, and it wasn't even touching it because it's like not nerve blocker, And the hospital was so busy. I sat in they wheeled me into, my family will vouch for this. They wheeled me into a closet, and they give me a closet in the hospital. You can't make this stuff up. And they clearly don't know how bad it is because they haven't had time to look at it. And finally, like hours later, the doctors come in. They're like, okay, we have to unwrap this because the dudes in the ambulance had wrapped it up. And they're like, we got to unwrap this to see what's going on. And I'm like, bro, if you unwrap that, like, I'm thinking like, I'm going to lose all my blood in like 2 seconds, I'm laughing now. It's ridiculous. But so they did, and then it's like gushing everywhere. And sorry, this is like way too much imagery. But and then they wrap it back up, and they're like, okay, that's bad. We need to do surgery. And I'm like, yeah. And anyway, but they left me in the closet, and I kid you not, I didn't go into surgery until 11:30 that night. Just the most unreal thing. All that happened 8 days before my second daughter, Daly, was born. And I'm just like, what, and so our whole family is in just total chaos at this point in our lives. And I'm not working. Emily's not working. We got another kid coming. And we're a family. If you're gonna do it, like we're gonna do it. And so we were having home births like you do, and so we got a midwife that lives 2 hours away because that makes sense. But she was awesome. And anyway, and I remember the night that Daly, it was like, oh, Emily's going into labor. This baby's coming, and I've got. We always joke because like I delivered this child one-handed, which I didn't, but it felt like that for the first hour before anyone showed up. And Emily's like, you gotta call the midwife, and I've only got one good hand, and I can't, so I can't use the other one because at this point it's in like the cast and all that because I've survived this traumatic accident, but the baby's coming, and it's like 11 o'clock at night or whatever. And Emily's like, you got to call the midwife. And I'm like, you have to let go of my hand so I can do that because she's squeezing the life out of my only good hand. And she's like, I can't let go of your hand. And I'm like, frantically, hey, Siri. Anyway, it was a whole thing. And I just remember that night, Daly being born. And my soul had just been cracked open from this hand accident that had just happened. And I just, when she was born, man, it was just tears. It was this whole thing. And so we just had this whole thing happen where you're like on what felt like the doorstep of death. And then like days later, birth, life, everything right there. And it's the one time in my life for sure that it just seemed like, man, you're just wearing it all on your sleeve. It's just all right there. And I think that's a bit of the thing with life and death. I think we always try to keep them in separate spaces. Like we always try to keep life and death in separate bedrooms. Are you with me? We don't let them play together. We always keep them separate, and one comes out during the day and maybe the other one comes out at night. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, but you find out it's all within the same person. It's life and it's death. And but these two, they actually linger together very closely. And the more we try to force apart life and death, we realize in these fragile moments that there is only a translucent veil. There's only like what we call thin spaces between them, right? That perhaps even they're holding hands the whole time. And so we mostly go about our days acting as if all this will just go on forever, right? Infinitely. But ironically, the only guarantee we get is infinite change, that nothing is stagnant, that every moment dies with the arrival of the next. Like biology teaches us this all the time in unnecessarily undramatic ways as we grow and become stronger or weaker or taller or maybe even shorter, as we are energized or tired. Change is what it all is. And so you find that presence is this deep realization of that gift. Presence, being present, it becomes this deep realization of that gift and of the fragileness of all this and the life and the death. So this year, so that day that I got the fender bender, and you're like, well, this is nothing. I have this. I got this in the bag. So that day, Emily and I went to this coffee shop called 8th and Roast, and it's kind of a big deal in Nashville now, but back then they only had this one location, and the mission is to get some breakfast there, because the morning after my hand accident, okay, so just had this whole death's doorstep kind of experience, go through surgery, wake up the next morning, and I'm in like the surgery recovery room. It's just like people and curtains, and Emily's there, and she has, from 8th and Roast, she has this bacon and egg biscuit with what they had at this time, which was this like maple leaf latte. And you guys, like, I cannot tell you how unreal this was. This bacon, egg, and biscuit and this latte was the best thing I have ever had in my life. Like, stupid good. Are you with me? Like it's just this was just, to this day, like nothing comes close to that meal. and you're like, oh well, it just was like a bacon and egg and biscuit, I guess, and a latte. But no, this was like, I've never tasted anything like this in the entirety of my life, which really has driven a question for me that maybe we're getting to the heart of whatever we're talking about here, which is, how do we learn to taste life this way? How do we learn how to taste life this way without having to almost die? Right? You know, I think about toddlers, and younger kids taste life this way all the time, don't they? In fact, I would actually attribute much of, I want to say, Christmas consumerism to this exact phenomenon. That as a parent, I can tell you, watching your kid light up, like watching your kids taste something for the first time, or opening something, or getting a great gift, it's a drug, and parents live for that, that look, that expression, that joy. So actually, this last weekend, our family got a dog, which you may be thinking, oh, that's nice. That's what, whatever. But for the people who know us, I've had friends all week sending me text messages like, hey, are you guys okay? Like, what's going on? And because if you've known us for years, we're not the dog family. Even though I grew up with dogs, like that's not our game, because life is just too crazy. And to be honest, Emily is sort of internationally known as not a dog person, and which has always been this amusing phenomenon, because it's like the dogs somehow know this, and so whenever we've been out somewhere over the years where there's dogs, the dogs are like, hey, I can tell she doesn't like us, so let's go cuddle with her. And it's been this just ongoing joke. I mean, I remember being in life group in Bible study like 15 years ago, and the sweet little dachshund Asher just curled up as a puppy in her lap and like peed on her in the middle of Bible study, like, and looked at her with puppy eyes like a friend. And it's been like that. Anyway, all I can say is that it worked, because her heart grew 3 sizes at some point. And we are actually under the belief that a good dog will bring balance to the force that is our household, and be a good therapy dog for our kids and stuff. Anyway, that's a separate thing we can talk about. So anyway, this weekend, our kids don't know it, but we've been marinating on the dog thing for a bit. And Emily's been doing all this research on potentially good dogs for us. And there's this dog that we find at this adoption center almost in Chattanooga. So we drop the kids off for this Christmas party, and they know nothing. We secretly drive 2 hours to meet and greet this dog, of which is bigger than I think I was signing up for. She's like a 65-pound golden doodle whose name is Flower, and it's just the sweetest thing she's just amazing. anyway, we're like, well, I guess you're coming home with me. So anyway, we we get this dog. We're bringing her home, and while we're gone, our youngest daughter, Daly, somehow hurts her finger in the backseat of our friend's car, just putting on her seatbelt. And, she gets it from her dad, obviously. She gets hurt 2 to 3 times a day. And it's this sort of like, I don't know where my body's at right now syndrome. We're working on it. But she actually breaks. The orthopedic said it was a break. And her pinky. And so she's just in pain. And we're just like, this is unbelievable timing. But let me tell you guys, it did not matter because the girls came in the house and Emily brought out this golden doodle, and our kids are legit speechless. It is just the best moment ever. It's just laughter and joy. And what is that? What is that? There's something there, isn't there? Like there's something, even not being a parent, there's something innate about you offering a gift, bringing joy to those around you, that it just does this judo trick and gives you joy. Like what is that? That's pre-programmed in. That's like DNA within creation. Like God designed it this way. It's the old bucket analogy, right? The thing about filling other people's buckets, some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm referencing a few children's books. When you fill someone else's bucket, somehow, we don't fully know how, but it fills your bucket. And so I'm actually convinced that this is actually what parents are wanting to experience, this joy of this child's joy over the Christmas season. This actually drives, I'm going to say, a lot of the Christmas toy chaos that ensues. But that's another podcast. Literally, I think Emily and I got on here and maybe recorded about some of those things a year or two ago. And we don't do Christmas gifts in our house. We never have. But there's still lots of joy because it's like the joy is there, ready for action, and it doesn't have to be contingent on consumerism. Anyway, again, for another episode. But how do we find ourselves, let's say, this Christmas season, seeing, tasting, experiencing the nativity, the story, the advent of Jesus, the birth, as children? It's like, out of all the things making up our life pizza, how do we taste its goodness, even amidst all the chaos? Are you with me? And friends, let's be honest, chaos ensues. How might curating lifestyles of presence, of being present, change the flavor, the experience, the joy of this whole thing, right? Even the anchovies, are you with me? Even the sour parts, because that's all part of it too. Like, we wouldn't know sweet without bitter. So, Daly has been doing hockey like you do as a 9-year-old. No, there's this program with the Nashville Predators, and for kids, for younger kids, they do like a free 6-week on-ramping into hockey, and they just give you pads and all this stuff. So it's just an incredible opportunity. And so for the last 6 weeks, Daly has been doing hockey, which, yeah. And it's just been another experiment in chaos's beauty. But little kids on ice, maybe for the first time, pads, sticks, helmets, pucks. It's just wild. It's like that. It's like the first half of the first Mighty Ducks movie when they're all just falling everywhere and it's ridiculous. It's like that. But I was watching Daly, and her best friend is doing it with her. And I mean, these girls, they do everything together. They're so close. They see each other at school every day. They do the sleepovers, the activities, and all the things. And something happened, and I don't know why. And sometimes you're just, when you take a breath and you just are present for a moment. And but I was just watching them, and they're on the ice, and they were just skating there and laughing and doing their thing. And somehow, in that moment, in that breath, I was immediately transported back years ago to me and my best friend growing up, Trinity. And man, Trinity, we were like that. We were joined at the hip, and we did everything together. Camping, trick-or-treating. Just ridiculous story after story. And I was at his house, he was at my house, and I remember we would always we'd just have like these Nerf guns, and you can imagine. And I remember we always played Speed, which was a game we made up reenacting the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Are you with me? Can I get an amen? If you haven't seen Speed, pause this episode, stop what you're doing. Just so good. Anyway, we always played Speed, but we always kind of had a fight over who got to be Keanu. Are you with me? Because you want to be Keanu, because the other person whose turn it wasn't to be Keanu had to be Jason Patric from Speed 2, which no one remembers. No one cares about. No one remembers Jason Patric and Sandra Bullock on a runaway cruise ship. Like you can't make this stuff up. Okay, no one remembers it, and so we always fought over who was Keanu. It's ridiculous. Yeah. What I didn't know as a kid is how fragile it all is, because you just don't know. You don't know that stuff as a kid. And years later, when I was 21, and I was actually living in Germany, and we were church planning. Anyway, I got a call finding out that my friend Trinity had died in a car crash on New Year's Eve. And to this day, just saying that out loud, like I still can't. You still just can't even comprehend it. And I don't know what it was, but seeing my daughter and her friend there laughing and playing, it was just like, wow, like, what is this? What is all this? What is that? We've all lost someone, haven't we? Likely, we're all at any moment and in every moment in the process of losing, you could say. But loss, this change, it isn't the enemy. It's just part of the whole thing. And, it's how you reframe it all. It's how to enjoy the pizza. Because this is it, friends. This right here, this is it. This breath that you're breathing right now, you won't get it again. You won't get that same breath again. It reminds me of the Hebrew refrain, right? L'chaim, which means to life. It's a celebratory, to life. Yeah. But you can't stay in that headspace all the time, but it does help put things in perspective, doesn't it? Friends, these environmental crises that we talk about on this podcast, these are real. And I don't like to throw this around, but they're kind of existential. And we have this moment right now to do something about it, to act, to use our lives. And the other day when I picked up Story and her best friend from school, and I guess they had been learning about the Black Plague, and they're in 7th grade, and apparently there is some YouTube video that teaches you about the Black Plague with catchy lyrics. To the music of Gwen Stefani's Holler Back Girl. So you can't make this stuff up. And so you're welcome to imagine what that is or Google it. So they're singing this goofy song about the Black Plague with Holler Back Girl. And then out of nowhere, they're like, do you think the Black Plague can happen again? And I just sort of take a breath. But before I can respond, stories like, well, that already kind of happened, didn't it, with the pandemic? And they start recalling what little they still remember of this COVID pandemic, which you're like, oh my gosh. And somehow it's reshaped their entire lives. And yet, even a few years removed for kids, it's totally different. And then again, it's like, do you think that could happen again, Dad? And friends, 1,000,001 things went through my head at a singular interval, right? I mean, what do you say? What I really think? Should a 12-year-old really hear what I think on this? That's probably not helpful. But the world that these girls are going to live in, the world that they're inheriting, when they're my age, it's a really, really sobering thing to consider, and from everything that I know. And but of course, before I can even craft a response, she's already back to "Ain't No Holla Back Girl," a Black Plague remix, which is probably for the best at this moment right here in the minivan headed to PetSmart. Are you with me? But man, that question really lingers for me, and hopefully for you too, is how are we reshaping the world around us? How are we doing our part to change it for the better? And also, how are we doing the work of adaptation? How are we preparing our children for this future? Yeah, I've got lots of thoughts on these things, and they keep my wheels turning. And I write about some of this in my new book coming out. But for today, I guess what all I wanted to share and what was on my heart a bit about this perspective, because that altitude is important. And sometimes, as you know, to do the work on the ground the right way, you got to climb back up to the high points to get perspective on the situation and then come back down again. And so that night of my hand accident, and I remember I'm on the gurney and they're wheeling me back finally. It was like almost midnight, and they finally decided they called my ticket, I guess, and started giving me some meds, some magic sauce for my pain after just hours. And the pain began to subside, and they did the anesthetic, and I remember fading, and I remember just being rolled back into surgery, and it just washed over me like a flood. And I just started saying over and over again, I just kept saying on repeat, Jesus loves you guys. Man, y'all, Jesus loves you guys so much. And it was like being a conduit for a message. It was just like zero thought was going into this. It was just pure like, oh my word, thank you guys so much. Jesus freaking loves you guys. I know it, and I just needed to tell you that right now. And man, that's the altitude, friends. And that's what I want you to hear today in the midst of all this chaos. You know what? Today, actually, as this episode is coming out, 10 years later, today is actually my daughter's birthday. She turns 10, Daly turns 10 today. Unreal. And we have plenty of rough moments. Some days, all this, as you know, it's really, really hard. And the world is hard. And the environment is hard. Climate change, all the things. It's a lot to think about. But today, friends, I'm reminded that in the midst of a Star Wars themed 10-year-old birthday party, life is meant to be delivered with extra toppings. It's not an accidental delivery, Are you with me this morning? I'm not saying all this is predestined, but friends, we are frail. We are human. We have to breathe. We are flesh and blood. If we get cut, we bleed. It hurts. But y'all, this is all part of it. Creation comes with extra toppings. It's the way God designed it. It's what makes it good. And so, my friends, may you, especially during the season of Advent and Christmas, enjoy them, embrace them, right? I mean, just think about the Christmas Carol. We watch it every year, just the Muppet version. Just, keep it light. Scrooge comes toe to toe with the past and the present and the ghost of the future and comes out the other side with joy in his heart. Tiny Tim, who did not die, are you with me? That right there. May you, friends, give and laugh generously this season, even in the midst of all the pain. Grace and peace, friends.